listen, repeat. Broadcasting from the Camp Grilling Studios, this is Sporting Journal Radio. Presented by OnX. Know where you stand with OnX.
That's a new personal best pike here.
Now here's your host, Bret Amundson.
That's right. Thank you for tuning in on this station right here by downloading the podcast wherever you get your favorite podcasts or by listening on demand at sportingjournalradio.com. That's Dan Amundson right over there. Dan, how you doing?
Doing well.
Got a big show. Yeah, it's got a big show for you this week. We're back in Minnesota. It feels weird almost to be back in Minnesota. We've been everywhere, it seems like, the last couple of months or something like that. We were just down in Florida. We were at ICAST, and then we did some fishing at Disney World. We also did some fishing in the Gulf for saltwater, for snook. Had an epic day of snook fishing. We're going to tell you all about that coming up. We're going to get a fishing report from Garett Svir from Otter Tail Lakes Country. And then we'll also talk to Joe Henry, who just fished a big tournament on Lake Erie. And then also he'll give us a report on Lake of the Woods to let us know how fishing has been up there as well. Dan, who are the sponsors this week?
Yeah, we've got Haybale Heights Campground and Resort on Devil's Lake. Book a trip to Devil's Lake at haybaleheights.com. Otter Tail Lakes Country. Find your inner otter at ottertaillakescountry.com. Lake of the Woods Tourism. Lake of the Woods is the walleye capital of the world. Plan a trip for this summer at lakeofthewoodsmn.com. Camp Grayling. Catch the Grand Slam lake trout, pike, grayling, and walleye fish Camp Grayling this summer. OnX. Know where you stand with OnX. Mid-Migration Outfitters. Come hunting waterfowl this fall out of heated 10-man pits and comfortable blinds. Learn more at midmigrationoutfitters.com. Prairie Sportsman, the new season wrapped up. Watch those episodes anytime at the Prairie Sportsman YouTube channel or check your TV guide for local air times.
Whew. I can't believe we're it's almost the end of July, Dan.
Yeah, where'd the summer go?
Yeah.
I think we just started it, and all of a sudden we're talking about hunting season real fast.
That's right. You know, I used to hate summer. I used to hate it. I still don't like the heat. In fact, when we went to Florida, I was not ready to be in Orlando in the middle of July.
Legitimately thought you were going to just wither away and melt. You had so much sweat coming out of your body.
It was gross. But thankfully, it was 100 degrees back in Minnesota while we were there, so it wasn't like we were missing out on it. But we had just spent a month in Saskatchewan where it maybe got to 80 for the most part. It was pretty cool. It was nice up there. It was comfortable. Back in Minnesota now, but for just for a couple of weeks, then we're going to be going back up to Saskatchewan and hanging out at Camp Grayling for a little bit, and then we'll go up to Tobin Lake. We'll be doing this show from back up there, talking about big walleyes, monster pike, lake trout, and also some bear hunting and whitetails and waterfowl from Saskatchewan. Pretty excited about that. But I'll tell you, I'm enjoying summer now. While I used to hate it, I don't like the heat. I actually have been enjoying summer, and maybe that's because of some of the things that we've been doing, Dan. You'd never seen the ocean before. You finally got to cross it off the list.
Saw it and fished it. It's off the list. It's a real place. So all you who are skeptical, it's legit. I saw it with my own eyes.
What did you think of that trip to Florida?
Well, it was cool. ICAST was awesome. We got to see some really cool stuff, which we'll tell you about next segment. Mm-hmm. Got to meet a bunch of new people, and then we got to do some bass fishing in a really neat place. I'll have a video coming up soon. And then fishing the ocean. You know, we get some hard fighting fish, freshwater fish, but man, those saltwater fish are just angry. They are mad at the world and mad at you for hooking them in the mouth.
Yeah, that's right. We went from catching big lake trout in Saskatchewan, which are trying to rip your arms off, to catching 35-inch snook, which are trying to rip your arms off. And we will have videos of all this. If you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, check us out on YouTube. Look for Sporting Journal Radio. We'll give you a walkthrough from ICAST when we come back.
Devil's Lake is legendary, and this summer has been legendary for walleyes. Don't miss out. Call Haybale Heights Campground and Resort today to book one of their modern cabins on East Bay. The cabins are furnished with a full bathroom, kitchen, and all the amenities like high-speed internet, and are clean following CDC guidelines. Staying at Haybale Heights gives you full access to a private boat launch, fish cleaning station, and beach area. Learn more at haybaleheights.com. That's haybaleheights.com. Plan your trip to legendary Devil's Lake today.
All right, now we're going to check in with Garett Svir from Slab Seeker Fishing up in Otter Tail Lakes Country. Garett, how's it going, man?
Hey, doing good. Thanks for having me on, buddy.
You bet. You know, I wanted to talk to you for a couple things because I want to get a fishing report from Otter Tail County, which I'm going to ask you about here in just 1 second. But I know you fished saltwater before, and I'd never fished the ocean. It's never been something that I said, gosh, I got to go fish the ocean someday. But I'll tell you what, now that I've done it, I want to go do it again.
For sure. I love it. It's kind of my favorite fishing trip of the year is we try to go down in the winter at some point, which isn't the best time to go and fish in Florida, but it gets you out of Minnesota in February for a while. So yeah, I've been down there, I don't know, I think the past maybe 4 or 5 years in February to do a little tarpon fishing. We've done some redfish. We've done some snook fishing down there. I'm not an offshore guy. I don't usually do the offshore thing. You?
Yeah, well, we just kind of went where they took us, and we were working ICAST, and then I was working the live target booth, and these two guys came in, and they had their ICAST badge on, and it said Disney on there. I was like, Disney? Like, what do you guys do at Disney? Oh, we guide bass fishing. I said, what? Oh yeah, we got 4 lakes, 4 properties on Disney World, and so takemefishing.org or something like that. It's the organization. They partnered up with Disney, and they take people bass fishing out there and crappie fishing, and there's some other fish, and there's some 10-pounders in there. And they said, I said, well, we're down here. We're looking for a place to fish. We're going to be filming for Sporting Journal Radio. If you got any openings, let me know. He's like, well, we're about 60 days booked out. But let me see if we can work something in here this weekend, since this is your only opportunity. And they ended up, I think they had a cancellation. So they took us out at 1:30 in the afternoon. It was 100 degrees. So we were out there bass fishing at 100 degrees, and I didn't expect much, but we ended up catching a fair amount of fish. And they had just spawned, so they were a little skinny for this time of year. But it was a lot of fun. And we were fishing Disney World. Like, we went into the Contemporary Hotel that the monorail rolls through. And we went by what's it called? Mickey's Cafe? Chef Mickey's. Yeah. Whatever it is. We're at Disney World bass fishing. It was so crazy. And then the next day we went out and fished in the Gulf. So we drove down to Sarasota. We were with Vic Cook from Live Target, and he took us fishing out there along with Dina Vic. And we were going to fish for snook and redfish and trout. And when we got there, we ended up going out with Billy Ahlstrom. Yeah, with Suncoast Fishing Charters. And he said, we're going to go about 3 miles out. So sit down, hang on. And it wasn't really windy, but it was blowing a little bit. We went out 3 miles out into 30 feet of water. And if you would have asked me why we went where we went, I wouldn't have been able to tell you. But obviously he knew some spots. There was some structure down there. And I called it finesse to panic. It was my snook fishing experience. And this is how it went. So we were fishing with pinfish. Basically, we just had a treble hook that he would kind of tail hook a pinfish which is like looks like a little bluegill almost. We throw it out back behind the boat, and then we would just let it swim down to the bottom. And you had to just keep just enough tension on it to feel it swimming down. And if you pulled back on it at all or gave it pressure, it would swim up to the top, and you'd have to reel it in and put a new one on. So you had to feel that thing go all the way down. And if you gave it too much pressure, you could let out a little bit of line and get it to swim back down. So you had to feel it and not pull it. I mean, it took a little getting used to. And then as soon as we would get down near the bottom, something would eat it. And then you'd have to feel that and set the hook and then reel like crazy, because otherwise these fish would take your line and go straight under the structure and break you off within 2 seconds. Like within, I don't even know, 2 seconds. It would happen so fast.
Wickedly fast. And you never even set the hook. It was just reel and pull. It was like circle hooks. So it was just crank. And he'd be like, reel, just be screaming at you, So it'd be like this finesse. You'd just be watching. And then it was just complete chaos. And it was, trying to reel in this fish. And yeah, sometimes they'd be Goliath groupers and there was no chance getting it up. And they go down and break you off. But a lot of times we were catching, it was like an epic day of snook fishing with multiple like mid 30-inch fish. And that's where you got. It was the first time I'd ever fished snook, and I looked at that profile of that fish, and it looked like a walleye that fought like a bass. So like if you caught a 35-inch walleye that fought like a bass, that's how I describe snook fishing, Garrett.
Right. We did something similar when I was down there, but we actually fished those pinfish on a jig head, and we were fishing in this massive tree limbs down there, and we could see them real clear because the guide had a pan optics unit. We could see these, and like you said, if you let them get down there and all those limbs were so sharp that they'd cut you off in that every time. And so you had to really put the screws to them and pull them up out of there. But what a fun fish. I mean, they're an absolute blast.
it was so much fun. And then I was trying to get down near the water with my camera to film some of these things. And they'd be like, maybe don't get too close to them down there. I'm like, oh, come on. I do this all the time, whatever. And then you'd see a barracuda coming, swimming up, trying to eat the snook that you caught. And then at one point, Vic hooked into a shark. And that I'm down real low with my camera, and that shark almost comes right out of the water, right at me with my camera down there. And let's just say that was the fastest I've moved in a long time.
In a while, yeah. I know tarpon fishing down there too. I really wanted to get a good photo with, I think my biggest is right around 100 pounds. And I really wanted to get in the water with the fish and hold the fish in the water because, it's not legal to take that size of a tarpon out. And in the backcountry where we're fishing, he advised me, you don't want to be in the water back here. You can't see, and therefore the sharks can't see. And so, not that they attack people, but they'll could bump into you and then decide that they need to latch on. And so I didn't get in and get the classic in the water tarpon shot that I really wanted to get.
Well, then we had just watched the video that's going around Instagram of the guy trying to unhook a shark, and it like rips his pinky off. Like, okay, I'm going to stay away from the sharp teeth of the ocean fish that are swimming down here. But
yeah, probably the craziest story I have down there is I was in the backcountry. We were fishing with Rick Stanzik on Isla Mirada, and we were way back in Florida Bay, back by Flamingo. And I wanted to get at least a 3-finger mouth grab on a tarpon and hold it up both sides so I could get a nice picture. And we fought the fish, and we had it in next to the boat, and I got my first 3-finger grab on him, and the fish thrashed, and I lost my grip. And so then, Rick had the leader, and he pulled the fish back in by the leader, and I got another grab. Well, as soon as I'm holding it, my wife snaps the photo. A shark attacks the back end of the fish. And so I'm holding this thing, and the shark's got the other end of it. So you've never seen me get, like you said, that's the fastest I've probably moved in my life. And so I bailed out of there. We didn't want the shark to eat the tarpon, and so it took off. We still got it hooked, and so we just quickly broke the fish off. And Rick Stanzik does a lot of YouTube stuff like you do, and so it's on his. If you go to Isla Mirada tarpon fishing, he's got it all on YouTube too. I think he said that was the most viral video he's ever filmed. Because he had a good kind of a clickbait title on it too. Near shark attack on my boat today, and so he's like, "Well, I gotta see this." It was probably only at one point that shark was probably only this far away from my hands, but I was able to get out of there quickly. And then he had a conversation with me after that, and he's, we booked him for 2 days, and so then the next day in the morning, my wife wanted to use the bathroom. My son and I boarded his boat, and he said, "Garett, I got to talk to you for a second. If I can have a word with you in private." And I'm thinking, "Oh, what did I screw up on your boat yesterday? You need to talk to me in private." And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely, Rick." And he's like, "I know you always want to get a good shot of these fish." Yeah, if you'll notice, this is from this last year. My hands are not in there because he kind of outlawed that on his boat. But he said, "Yeah, I just wanted to talk to you. I'm not going to let customers do mouth grabs anymore. I'm just going to hold their fish for them. We can pull them up both sides and get a picture, but I'm going to be doing the holding." He's like, "Because if you would have lost your fingers yesterday," and I said, "Absolutely, I understand. The insurance liability with that. I have a guide business as well." And
that's that's kind of a, not to derail the subject here, but that's kind of a touchy thing about guide services and clients and who holds the fish for pictures, and it can be a touchy subject sometimes.
100%. And on my boat, there's nothing that can take your fingers off, and so it's kind of a different situation. I'm like, "You want to hold it? Here you go." Yeah. In the worst case scenario, they get finned or poked by it, which is a pretty common occurrence, and you heal. But out there, it's a whole different animal. Those sharks are a real deal, and like you said, it was one of those situations where every fish we were reeling in was boom, those bull shark would come and attack it, and to the point where he would even try to grab them right out of your hands, both sides. So that's a pretty serious situation sometimes.
Well, that's what Billy said on our boat was, no matter what you're catching, there's a bigger one down there. You don't know what it is.
Right.
The ocean is crazy.
We always call him the tax man. The tax man's got to get a piece of the action too.
Absolutely.
So that's always the term for sharks when you're down there is tax man. Well, kind of a funny unrelated story about letting customers hold fish is, I think the worst injury of my boat ever is my wife caught a big, like a 10.5-inch bluegill one time. And she always wears sandals in the boat. I usually don't. I wear like dude shoes or Crocs. I'm not a big, flip-flop guy. But she always wears sandals in the boat. So I hand her this 10.5-inch bluegill, and she's holding it out on her fingertips, trying to get a nice picture without her fingers in the shot. And I get my camera out, I take the shot, and bloop, the bluegill falls out of her hand, and spines are right on top of her foot with that spine, that top spine that sticks out. And she's like, "Ow, that really hurt." Oof, and so we, kind of moved on and didn't think much of it. Well, the next day it was really kind of red. The next day it was even a little redder, and it started to swell to the point where it got infected. And so we went into the doctor, and they removed a little chunk of bluegill spine in there. And she had to do an antibiotic. Well, the first antibiotic didn't take the infection. I think it took her 2 rounds of a really strong antibiotic to get that infection out of her foot. So sometimes even those little spines could do more than what you think they'll do. And, stuff like that's happened to me, mostly in my hands, but hundreds of times, and you don't ever think of it. But it's a little piece of that was off.
And that's really the kind of thing that can happen. And it can be a liability for a guide service. Up at Tassin in Saskatchewan, when sometimes we're catching 50-pound lake trout, we, a lot of times our guides are the ones holding those big fish with the client, whoever caught it, standing next to them or standing behind it. And we'll get roasted on Facebook. "Oh man, I would never book a trip there if I can't hold the fish I caught." And it's like, buddy, have you ever held a 50-pound lake trout? Now, granted, some people have, but not very many. There's very few people on the planet that have probably held a 50-pound lake trout. And that's 50 pounds of muscle that's really mad. Right. So
that's really,
and they're strong. So I've watched them get dropped. So it's like, it becomes a safety and a liability issue, not just for the angler, but for the fish. We're just trying to protect the fish as much as possible. That's the thing I was going to bring up too is, that fish hits the floor of the boat and it's probably a goner. Trout are real susceptible to handling. And so, that thing hits the floor and it's probably dead. And you think about how old a fish like that is. Might be 70 years old. Too. Yeah.
Right.
Well, let's talk about your Otter Tail Lakes Country fish. How's fishing been this summer, Garett?
It's been good. So I've been doing kind of a combination of things. I've been guiding big bluegills. We've been kind of fighting through a real heavy algae bloom on the lake that I've been fishing bluegills. So that's been a little bit of a challenge just the past couple of days. But the temps are cooling now, and the wind is blowing today. I think that's going to kind of break up some of that algae and maybe get a little better fishing. But that being said, we're still catching some big fish. It's just been a little bit of a grind, and the water just got kind of green on us. But I think this a little bit cooler temps, it's down into the 60s today. I think it's only about 67 degrees. So I think these cooler temps and some of this wind will kind of break up and push that algae out, and hopefully this was kind of a unique fish. I don't know if you can kind of zoom out or turn the photo, but
there's the tail. Look at that.
I had posted on Facebook. So how do we measure this? That tail went, probably to about the 11 1/4 inch mark, but I don't know if you legitimately give us 11 1/4 on that bluegill. But that was kind of unique. I've never seen that. I sent it to Scott McIntoon, who works for the DNR, and he said that's a filament in the tail that overgrew. And so he said by DNR regulation, you could call that fish 11 1/4.
So that's interesting. And this fish, actually, Garett, this fish came up in a discussion that some of us were having, I think, while we were up at Tassin, because we were trying to catch a world record lake trout, and the IGFA standards, the way they measure fish for lake trout is you measure to the fork in the tail. Not the tip of the tail.
Fork. Okay.
You go to the fork. So that way, if you have something like that, I guess, I don't know. To me, I would go to if you're talking about the length of a fish, why wouldn't you go to the end of the tail, something like that? But I guess if you go to the fork, you eliminate like an oddity like that, some sort of extreme oddity like that.
Like a miscreant. In Target Walleye, I don't know if you know that Bret McComas who does Target Walleye, but I like to read my Target Walleye emails every week, and he posted a picture of this fish in there and said, so how do you measure that? And he brought up a good point too in the walleye tournaments. With a lot of the catch and release format that you're seeing nowadays, the rules say that you pinch the tail and measure to the longest point of the pinched tail. Well, in this case, that would have given you some, definitely some extra length there. And then he had some interesting pictures of walleyes that had kind of the same thing, where they had either a growth out of the center or a real long white tip that came out, 2 inches. So that's kind of an interesting thing. But Scott McIntoon said, the way the Minnesota DNR encourages anglers and requires anglers to measure is to pinch the tail and then to measure to the longest point.
When I think I think we saw it in that Target Walleye email too, and that's how we started talking about it, because then when we were down fishing saltwater and fishing those snook, they had a sticker on the inside of the boat, a measuring sticker, and it said, "Don't pinch the tail." So I don't know who to believe. I don't know. Maybe it depends on species.
Depending on what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think it kind of varies on what you're doing. Yeah, I didn't know that about the IGFA regulations either, so I would have totally measured that wrong. I'm used to doing it Minnesota DNR regulation wise,
Well, the beauty of it for me is I'm going to measure it. I'm going to take a picture of it. I'm probably going to film it. I'm probably never going to enter something into a world record category or anything like that. Maybe if I catch an absolute giant, but I'm just going to measure the longest part of the fish and call her good and take a nice picture. And go
that's the same for me too. And some of that IGFA stuff too, I think is, not to discredit it, but I knew an older gentleman who was trying to catch a line class IGFA record steelhead fishing. So he's out there steelhead fishing with like about 2 or 3 pound test.
Yeah, right.
And, a really long noodle rod. And I just, when he's explaining this to me, hopefully you couldn't tell by the look of my face. I kept my opinion to myself, but I'm looking at him like, why in the world would you want to do this? Like, I understand. I think for me, I want to fight those fish on as heavy a line as I can get by with, which is usually in that 6 to 8 pound range. Yeah. You get more than that, and you don't get very many bites, and you get less than that, and it's like, why do you want to go out and snap off every fish that you hook for the entire day? It just doesn't really add up to me. But he was doing that so he could, have caught the largest steelhead on 2 pound test or 3 pound test.
Get his name in the record book. Exactly.
Get his name in the record book. So some of that stuff too is like kind of like,
right.
In my opinion. But to each their own.
That's right. Yeah, it's legal.
With steelhead, it's illegal. Yeah. With steelhead, I guess my beef with it was just that it's probably not really good with the fish, because how long are you going to have to fight this thing on 2 pound line to subdue it? And those fish are so sensitive to you fight it to the point of exhaustion, and all this lactic acid builds up in this fish. And then at that point, then you take it and you starve it for oxygen to get all these legally required record book photographs, and it just doesn't seem like a very good thing to do with them.
Honestly, we've had guys that have wanted to come up to Tasman Lake to try to catch some line class records like that, and we won't let them do it, just for that very reason, the stress it puts on the fish at times. So, but hey, Garett, if people want to book a trip with you,
a rabbit trail.
Yeah, for sure. If people want to book a trip with you, get out and do some fishing, maybe do some steelheading, how do they reach you?
Yeah, it's going to be that time of year. We'll be steelheading in the whole month of October and the first few weeks of November. Yeah, I have a website. It's slabseekerfishing.com. Otherwise, it's Slab Seeker Fishing on Facebook. You can kind of see what we're doing currently. Currently, we're doing those big bluegills. We're also trolling crappies on with plastics in the weed beds, picking up a lot of walleyes, incidentally, as we're trolling crappies. So we can almost call that a crappie/walleye trip.
Sure.
But that was a really good one. Best one on my boat for a long time. That was 29 inches.
Oh, there you go. Were you crappie fishing?
I don't want to promise anybody fish like that, because we usually don't catch them quite that big. But 21, 22 is pretty common. 29, unfortunately, not that common.
I like accidental 29-inch walleyes.
Exactly. And I thought it was a 30. I seen it come up, and its head was just massive. And I told my customer, I said, "This is a 30-inch walleye." And he said, "Oh, don't tell me that. I don't want to goof this up. We're just using 4-pound line." And we got it in the net, and both him and I looked at it. He's like, "That is a 30." And I said, "I think it is." And he said, "I'm going to, maybe put it on my wall." Well, then we got it on the bump board. The bump board never lies. We're like 29. And he's like, "Yeah, I can't. I need an honest 30 for my wall." And so we released it nice.
That's pretty cool.
She still swims.
Nice. Very good. Slab Seeker Fishing. And of course, you can find your inner otter at ottertaillakescountry.com. Garett Svir, thanks for the time today on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. Have a good rest of the afternoon.
Did you know there are more than 1,000 lakes in Otter Tail County?
Yep, and I'm going to fish as many as I can. I'm an outdoorsy otter. Nothing beats a full day of fishing for me. The lakes of Otter Tail County give me plenty of options to lower my boat and snag the perfect catch. Not an outdoorsy otter? No problem. Otter Tail County has something for everyone. You just need to find your inner otter.
To find your inner otter, go to ottertaillakescountry.com.
Well, it's been a whirlwind couple of weeks for us, traveling all over from Saskatchewan to Florida. And virtually now we're going to go up to Lake of the Woods to check in with Joe Henry from Lake of the Woods Tourism. Joe, how you doing?
Hey, Bret. Long time no see, man. You've been on the road.
I have been on the road, and it sounds like I've been on the road. Trust me, I feel better. Feel better than I sound right now. But yeah, we just got back from ICAST. Joe, it was a good time.
Yeah, you know what? ICAST is a good time. I normally go. I wasn't able to go this year, but I'll tell you, when I've gone to ICAST, something always good happens at ICAST. And it's funny, Danny and I were talking before we got on the air, how, fishing professionals from Minnesota were very well known. They might only live a couple hours away from you. You never see them. And then you go to Florida and you have a chance to spend time with them.
It was amazing, all the people that we kind of recognized as we walked around. But one of my favorite parts, Joe, I think, was right away in the first night. We were walking through the new product showcase, and I walked by this crowd of people, and this guy turns around and slaps me on the back, and he says, "How you doing, bud?" It was Bill Dance.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't go up to him. I didn't say hi to him. He turned around and said hi to me. I don't know if you knew that or not, but I'm kind of a big deal, Dan. Kind of a big deal. It was... No, he had no idea. He obviously had no idea who I was. He was just being a nice guy, but it was a pretty neat experience.
Well, and that, I tell you, you want to talk about the who's who in the fishing industry, and whether it's walleye guys from our neck of the woods, to the bass people that you see, and you've seen on TV for years and hear about in the bass industry, and there's some big guns. I mean, everybody goes to that show, and it's interesting too because it's all the different niches. It's freshwater fishing, saltwater fishing, it's walleye, it's bass, it's fly fishing. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's so many different niches within fishing, and really they're all there.
And when we started, we had to do a presentation for Live Target at the beginning, and Kevin Van Dam and Brandon Lester were there. So immediately we had, some big names in the fishing industry that we were surrounded by. And then Dan and I, as we were walking through the show that first day, it was like, Bill Dance and, all these, names in the industry. And then by the second or third day, we were just like, whatever. We're just surrounded by them. It's just part of the, you kind of get used to it after a while.
Well, I remember being down there and running into Wild Bill from Deadliest Catch, and somebody at one of the booths, they paid him to be there, and he was a very nice guy, and we both had red Solo cups in your hand, and we were just trying to stay hydrated in that hot Florida sunshine.
Stay hydrated. Yeah.
He was a very down-to-earth guy. And, one of the things I've noticed is most of the celebrity anglers, the pro anglers, most of them are very, very nice people. Most were very approachable, which I was impressed with. I remember meeting Mike Iaconelli at a sports show, and he was a very nice guy to speak with, very down to earth, and a little bit toned down from when you see him on TV and he's screaming when he catches a bass, But some of that is promotion, and I appreciate the fact that for the people that can do well and be successful, but also be down to earth. And as my wife would say, they're not all that in a bag of chips.
That's about right. It was a neat experience. And I know, Joe, normally you're down there, but you weren't able to travel this year because you were somewhere else.
Well, actually, it was a few things. I had a number of things going on all at the same time, and I just couldn't make them all work. So something had to give. And I think what you're referring to is I just got home from. I used to guide on Lake Erie. So back in my life, I worked corporate in Cleveland, Ohio, and long story short, I got hooked up with the charter boat industry, became a charter captain on Lake Erie. I've guided on Lake Erie, and now that I'm back in Minnesota, my home, and I've been here for a long, long time now. But my buddies who are from Lake Erie, who are charter captains, I get invited back for an annual charter captain tournament. Basically, it's the Demeter's tournament, based out of kind of the Marblehead, Sandusky, Port Clinton area of Ohio on Lake Erie. And so as charter captain, I'm invited back. It's a real honor to be able to participate in this tournament because there's a lot of good charter captains on the lake that don't even get a chance to participate. Gives me the chance to go back and maintain my friendships with some very, very close friends, once a year. And if I wouldn't do this, there wouldn't be anything. And we fish hard. We go and pre-fish for a few days, and then we fish a one-day tournament. It's a 30 charter boats to a tournament, 5 people to a charter boat, casting only, and it's in Canada waters only, which is where this time of year a lot of the walleyes are, a little bit north there of that Marblehead, Port Clinton area. And what a good few days reuniting and catching a bunch of fish, and it's always good.
And 2 years in a row, first place?
Yeah, we won it again this year, and very, very, very honored and humbled to win in this thing again because there is so many good anglers, and you know how it is. We worked hard. I mean, this wasn't a few days of kicking back. It was getting up at 5:30 in the morning, getting on the water, hitting it hard all day, having a few Diet Cokes and a nice dinner at night, and hitting the rack at 8:30, 9 o'clock, and just trying to figure out those darn fish, and then hopefully it comes together in the one-day tournament, which for us it did. It wasn't a slam fest for those big fish. I'll tell you, we had to grind every big fish we caught. The way that tournament works, Bret, is it's a measure tournament. So you measure your best 10 walleyes, and our best 10, which won the tournament, came out to, I believe it was 247.9 inches. So 24.8 inch average per walleye. So I think our big fish was just a little over 27. We had another 27. I think our small fish was just over 23 inches, and everything in between there. So, but we caught a lot of fish, and you catch a lot of walleyes, you catch sheephead. We caught some huge catfish. Had a few fish come on button that we think were walleyes that really would have helped us, and thankfully for us, it all worked out.
Now, I want to start talking about Lake of the Woods here, but I want to ask you one more question about Erie, because normally when you think about that lake, you think about giant walleyes. I would have expected you to have had bigger fish than what you guys had. Was it just a tough bite? Has there been a change in the lake, or what would you say about that?
I would say a couple things. I'd say first off, I think right now, on average, Lake of the Woods probably has bigger walleyes in many cases, and I hope people don't go mad when I say it. I think right now Lake of the Woods probably has we have a real strong population of big fish 28, 29, 30 inches. I think we're probably a little ahead. I speak to the Minnesota tournament trail that just happened on Lake of the Woods. They had 5 fish for 40 pounds were the winners. That's an 8-pound fish, a 28-inch fish typically. So that's 5 fish. So it just kind of gives you a little bit difference in size range. Now Lake Erie, no disrespect. A lot of those walleyes this time of year, they migrate east where the deeper water is. So some of those real big fish are probably in the eastern part of Lake Erie. We're fishing the western part of Lake Erie. I think that's part of it. I also think, Lake Erie is full of walleyes. You turn in that sonar sometimes, and it looks, it's unbelievable how many fish are out there. And a lot of eaters right now, so anyway, it's a great fishery. It's all respects to Lake Erie and Lake Erie sport fishing, and Lake of the Woods and Lake Erie, we share a lot of things. And we some of my friends out there, they're like, I see your videos and stuff, Joe. You keep calling Lake of the Woods the walleye capital of the world. You get hit in the head, and I'm like, okay, well, let me ask you a question. How's your ice fishing been the last few years? Well, they haven't had any. You can go back and forth, but it's really a respect thing. Lake Erie is a wonderful fishery, as Lake of the Woods is.
Yeah, and what I will say, and one thing that I've always wondered about, is they're always keeping those big fish over there, and that's the difference between Lake of the Woods and Lake Erie. In Lake of the Woods, majority of those big ones are going back, which is protecting that resource. I've always been surprised that they let, that there isn't a slot or there isn't some sort of protection for those bigger fish over there. And that's
it's catch and flay. You are so right. And everything you catch, you kill them, and you don't catch and release at all. The big ones. So when I was guiding over there, when I was running a charter boat, when I'd come in and clean, 6 walleyes for the customers, times 6 people plus my own, so 7 times 6, 42 walleyes, and I'd maybe clean 2 boats of fish. I was cleaning 84 walleyes. You know what? When I was using an electric knife and cutting through those rib cages the way I do it with electric, you cut through some of those rib cages that are 28, 29-inch fish. It's like when you're wearing your darn knives out, a little bit different than just cleaning all eaters, and
that makes my head hurt thinking about cleaning, 42 8 or 9 pound walleyes, Joe.
They all weren't 8 or 9 pounds, but there was a few in there. You get some 24s, some 25s, and then you get your eaters, and you get a mixture. But still, those big rib cages to cut through. Here's one thing that's interesting about Lake Erie too, Bret. They have something called a fall brawl, and it's a big walleye tournament where you can enter into it and then fish all fall. You can fish for over a month, and it's the biggest walleye wins. I think a Warrior boat actually, and that. Some of the guys that tell me that's become so popular, and fall fishing has become so popular, that there's a lot of night fishing that goes on in the fall, and that's messing up some of the duck hunting spots that they would normally duck hunt, because those ducks are getting kicked out of there by the anglers trolling by shore and stuff. So now the normal duck hunting spots are different.
It's interesting. Well, anytime you're going to be using the water, it's going to change things just a little bit. Joe, there's a big event tournament coming up at Lake of the Woods here soon too, isn't there?
Yeah, let's talk about Lake of the Woods. You know what? Fishing has been excellent, and there's a big tournament coming next year. You know, the Warrior Rally and the Warrior Dealer Meeting and the David A. Anderson Memorial Walleye Tournament is coming to Lake of the Woods this next weekend. You know, they've been coming for many, many years, and we're very thankful, very grateful for the Warrior family for choosing Lake of the Woods for their dealer meeting and for their big, David A. Anderson Memorial Walleye Shootout. Warriors are good boats. I don't know if people know this, but they're made in Melrose, Minnesota, right in central Minnesota. And they like to pick a location that has big water that fits those big Warrior boats real good. Those Warriors are just real good big water boats, big walleye boats, and they come up to Lake of the Woods and they have their tournament. These are some good anglers, and they always find some big-headed fish. It's a catch, record, release tournament. The AIM format, in fact, AIM on the back end is running the tournament. And they do a nice job with it, and they get over 100 boats. It's really, when you talk about the Warrior family, it's not a huge boat company, and people feel connected, I think, to Warrior. So nonetheless, they come up and stay, and some people free fish, and they fish this tournament, and it's really a neat event up at Lake of the Woods.
All right, Joe, well, if somebody wants to come up there yet this summer, start planning maybe a fall or even an ice fishing trip to Lake of the Woods, what should they do? You
know what? Boat ramps are rolling. Charters are open. You want to come up and have some good summer fishing yet, and it's going on good. This fishing's been good, Bret. Check out our website, and that is lakeofthewoodsmn.com.
Northern Minnesota's Walleye Factory is a year-round world-class fishing destination. The perfect getaway this summer is just a short drive to Lake of the Woods. Fish Big Traverse Bay, the Rainy River, or visit the unique Northwest Angle. To catch big fish, you have to go where the big fish are. Plan your trip to Lake of the Woods at lakeofthewoodsmn.com. That's lakeofthewoodsmn.com. 852 million acres of public land, 147 million private properties, all in the palm of your hand. The #1 hunting GPS app just got better. With hundreds of custom map layers, 3D and topographic maps, you can easily scout on the road or at home before you go. And now you can get important weather details, CWD detection, and even know what crops have been planted where. Get the most trusted hunting GPS app ever made. OnX. Know where you stand with OnX.
What do you think of ICAST, Dan?
Great place to come nerd out, learn about new products, and hang out with a bunch of fishing nerds.
Did you see everything?
No, I don't think you can see everything in 2 days, but we're going to try.
We got like 15 minutes to show you everything. Here we go. All right, Brian, what are you doing down here?
Well, we're actually here for my business, Tackle Addict, which is a tackle store down at Lake Sam Rayburn, and we're here looking at all the new products and checking out some stuff to get into the store.
You seeing some good stuff or what?
Seeing some great looking stuff. They got a lot of new stuff out this year, and which they do every year. But yeah, definitely some things that caught my eye.
So you're in Texas. What was bass fishing better in Texas or Minnesota?
My Texans are probably going to hate me for this, but man, it's hard to beat bass fishing in Minnesota. It's hard. You can catch bigger ones down in Texas, right, but your class of 3 to 6 pounders in Minnesota, and the amount of fish that you catch in that range, you can't.
And of course, we've been here at the Mustad booth all week here at ICAST talking about their new products, talking about the new Live Target products, and Tough Line as well. We're really excited about these new baits, the Live Shrimp. And this thing is a really cool bait because obviously ultra realistic because it's Live Target, right? But it's got a light little rattle in there so it mimics a fleeing shrimp as it's being retrieved. It's got a weight system on it so that you can change the action of the bait. You can make it drop slower, you can make it drop faster, you can make it drop into deeper water, and then you can get a little bit of a wobble as you retrieve with those weights that hang off. You get a couple of different sizes weights. Each bait comes in 2 different sizes and 8 different colors. It's real similar to Live Craw, freshwater hard bait. I could see a lot of bass, smallmouth, largemouth, and walleyes. Don't tell anybody. Eating this lure right here, ultra realistic, of course, from Live Target, and then it's got the weight system as well too. Now the legs, the pinchers here, TPE, soft plastic, very durable, real lifelike. They're buoyant, but they don't float up in the water. They look very natural when they're sitting in there. The drop on this thing is what really gets them going, and you can use those weights here as well to change the action on the bait. You can get it to drop faster, you can get it to drop slower. Super realistic on that drop and the action on the live craw. The frog's really neat too because it's got this hard body, so you're gonna be able to bring it through heavy cover. And then these legs though is where all the action is. They've got what amounts to like little drift socks on these guys right here, and they fill up with water as you retrieve it. That stretches those legs out, and then they kick. It's like a kicking motion. It's crazy. And then as you rest it, the feet come back up into a natural resting position, just like that. The water drains out. There's a little spring in the hinge right there. And then they come up, and that frog sits right up on top of the water with a little nose and eyeballs poking out just like a real frog. Super realistic. Of course, they look great too. There's two versions. This is the finesse model. It's a stealth if you want a little bit quieter approach, or there's an agitator. There's a popper with a rattle in it. You can make a lot of noise and a lot of action up on the surface. Two sizes of each, and they come in 8 different colors. It's new baits from Live Target, and we got a really cool treble hook to tell you about next. What jaw lock is the treble hook. It's the first fully automated machined treble hook. So a machine is making every treble hook exactly the same. So that's going to give you the ultimate consistency. It's Mustad, so it's super strong. It's the Ultra Point technology. Super sharp. It's real sharp. You don't know how many times I've had these stuck into my fingers this week down here at ICAST. But super, really interesting new hooks. The fact that you can get your bait to run exactly how it's supposed to run, right? So every hook is consistent, so you don't have two different treble hooks that have little variations in tine length or gap size. They're all going to be consistent. They're all going to be the same. 3 different strengths, and I think there's 10 different sizes in the jaw lock, new from Mustad. This line is really cool because it's made by a company that makes stuff for outer space, right? So Tough Line, it's designed, made by Western Filaments. They're aerospace grade quality. So they like to say, if we can trust it in space, you can trust it on your line. And what we have new from Tough Line this year is called SPJ braid. So it's for a slow pitch jigging, fishing in real deep water, a couple hundred feet, and it's the smallest diameter possible, but maximizing that breaking strength. So when you're fishing that deep, you don't want any line sway. You want to be able to go straight down, be in full contact with that jig or whatever you're fishing with down there. When you're jigging, you don't want that line to wrap around. You just want it to be as vertical as possible. So it's a carrier braid. It's real tiny, but real strong. There's 3 different strengths with it: 15, 20, and 30 pound. And it's metered in 25-foot increments. So you got different colors every 25 feet. So if you're counting and you want to be like, okay, I got to go 400 feet down, you can count every yellow color, and you know that you're going to be down 100 feet every time you see that color. It's a new SPJ braid available from Tough Line. So we've also got a bunch of new rods from Mustad out this year that are a lot of people are pretty excited about, because we got the Brandon Lester Instinct Elite. It's Brandon Lester custom rods. So he designed these rods, these new Instinct rods from Mustad. They're an Elite series, super light, 4 different options now for different styles of fishing. Also really cool this year is the new Legacy Series combo, and this isn't designed for an adult and a youth. So if somebody out there wants to bring a kid and you don't really know what to do, right? Like you don't know what rod to get, you don't know what reel, you don't know what line, stuff like that. Well, this is a package with a rod for an adult, with a rod for a kid, fully spooled up. You got a rod and a reel combo, fully spooled reels already ready to go. It's literally a walk out the door, start fishing type of package. Well, tie on a hook, I guess, but ready to go package, and it's available in a freshwater option, a saltwater option, and a big hit version, which allows you to go after some bigger fish. It's a new Legacy series from Mustad. Okay, so we're walking around ICAST right now, and you look at a lot of the banners and signs, and there's always something that grabs your attention, right? That's what you try to do, put something out there that's going to grab somebody's attention, whether it's a big fish picture or a catchy name. This has to be the best name in the entire show. I would agree. And I'm slightly biased because it's Amundson, and it's actually pronounced Amundson. So I'm Bret Amundson, and a lot of Amundsons pronounce their name Amundson.
Yes, my name is Aidan Monroe. I'm the product design coordinator with Amundson Outdoors.
What is Amundson Outdoors?
So Amundson Outdoors is an A to Z fishing manufacturer. We cover everything from terminal tackle, lures, all the way to fly fishing gear, waders, boots, etc.
You guys are actually based in Canada?
We are. We're based out of Canada and we manufacture overseas.
Very cool. What's new this year?
So for this year, we are showcasing our Savvy Rider backpacking combo. It's an all-in-one kit for, the new angler, someone who has really no knowledge of fishing whatsoever. It's supposed to get them on the water within 30 seconds or less.
That's this right here?
Exactly. Everything fits inside of that case. Comes with the rod, reel, line, lures, a multi-tool, and a towel. All fits inside of this nice case that can go in your carry-on luggage.
You can put a rod in here, a rod and reel in here.
You absolutely can. That would be this guy right here.
It's like a 4-piece?
It is a 6-piece.
6-piece.
A 5'6" 6-piece rod with an internal cord, so you're never going to lose any of the pieces.
Oh, okay. So they fit together like a tent pole almost.
Exactly, same idea.
Where do we find this stuff online?
So this stuff can be found at Amundson.ca. These are all products that will be available in retailers for spring 2023.
You're lucky that's a Canadian website, because I might have to sue you to get the website back.
You can pay us.
All right, Mike, I had to walk by this booth because I saw this amazing video that you had rolling back here. And tell me about Pro Control. Tell me about this motor and what is attached to it.
Okay, so this year we've come out with the Pro Control Revolution trolling motor, which allows you to mount this motor on both the bow or the stern of the boat. It has this patented bracket down here on the bottom that'll accommodate the curvature or the angle of most any bow. It will not fit over any gunnel larger than 3-inch, so we've got to make that clear. It takes care of the when you adjust this, what it does is it keeps the motor vertical so that you can put it in the stow position. It doesn't interfere with any of the tilting mechanism of the motor. It raises and lowers. We've got a 48-inch shaft to accommodate the height of the bow out of the water. Then, if you want to use it on the transom or the stern of the boat, you just, I've got that awful tight, but you'd loosen that up. You could either take this off, leave it down like that, or slide it all the way back. You just remove this bolt on the head, spin the head 180 degrees, replace that bolt, and it's ready to go on the transom. It comes out of the box ready for the bow though. We also have a model that has a stationary head or one that tilts up and down.
All right, cool. And a stand and a quick connect and all kinds of accessories to go with it.
That's right. So the stand has dual purposes. If you need to work on your head, you can stand it up in your shop, garage, or whatever, and work on the head without having to lay it down, put it in a vise or whatnot. We also have a 20-foot harness that you can attach quick connect on this harness. And you can, when you move the motor to the front of the boat, you do not have to move your battery. You can leave it at the rear.
Very cool. Mike, thank you very much. Where do we find you online?
ProControl.com.
Hey, we made our way over to the Smith's Consumer Products booth, and these guys are great because they got all kinds of things that we use in the outdoor world, like knives, knife sharpeners, also ways to start fire, ways to cut trees. Basically, a lot of the tools that you're going to use, maybe fishing pliers, basically anything you're going to use in the outdoors, they got it here. They've been making knife sharpeners for, I think, 600 years. 600 years? Is that what it was? 6,000 years. I was close. Just missed one. They got a bunch of other stuff. Let's go check it out. This thing is huge. What is this thing?
This is our new 60-inch fish kill bag. Launching here at ICAST 2022.
This is for the kind of fish I like to catch, I think, because it's huge.
Kind of fish I would like to catch, let's say. Insulated bag.
Okay.
Handle's been tested to over 800 pounds per handle. Not just all handles, but each handle will handle 800 pounds each.
Where am I going to put my second fish? If this is good for 800 pounds, that means I caught one that's 800 pounds. That's where I'm going with that.
We'll get 2 bags, one for each fish.
So who is this for then? Who's going to be using this bag, Ricky?
You're going to have your offshore guys catching wahoo, kingfish, tuna. We've had a lot of interest for guys that also elk hunt.
Oh, sure.
So they want to quarter an elk.
Oh, that'd be perfect.
Put their elk in here and hike that out.
That's a great idea. And these, obviously, you're going to keep things cold in here. How long do things stay cold in these bags?
They typically it's probably about 24 to 48 hours. It'll maintain ice. Each bag does have a drain plug, so if you'll let that drip, actually will maintain your ice level much longer. So there's a lot of conditions that affect your ice melt, but you'll get a good 24, 48 hours.
What else you got to show us?
We've got some new Filet Knives.
Let's go take a look. Let's go look at them. All right, what do you got for Filet Knives then?
Brand new 4-inch trout knife.
Oh yeah.
3 different colors, green, blue, and orange. It's really been a hot item at the show, really hot. I would say best new product for the Smith's booth for sure.
What are people saying, like how they're going to use this?
Wide range from trout, which we really designed that for that trout and fly fishermen, sea trout, and then those guys that love to turkey hunt, they want to carry this in their pack to really dress out that turkey.
And it's nice and small, 4-inch folding blade on it, so you can carry it in a lot of places and just hook it like right on your fishing vest.
4-inch, just clip it on your vest, clip it on your pack. It's always with you. So,
what you guys have so many things. Is there anything you guys don't make for anglers out there?
There may be a couple of things,
but
we're working on them. They're on the drawing board.
All right, what's next?
Next, we will take you to, we do have some new pliers, not launched here at ICAST, but we have some great pliers we'd like to show you. So
let's go check out the pliers. These are the new pliers?
New pliers, aluminum. They have a thumb lock. We have both styles with split ring. 50-50. You get 10 guys, 5 guys want a split ring, 5 guys don't. So we make both. So
I think split ring pliers are worth their weight in gold, personally.
Whatever you need, we have it. So
I like the thumb lock design right there too.
Lightweight. Check that out.
Oh yeah.
Has a carabiner
good,
once again, and they're gone.
They're gone. Oh, carabiner, yeah. Hook them right on.
Once again, you can clip it on your belt when you're out fishing. It's right there, handy every time you need it.
All right. Thank you very much. What's next?
Next, let's go see some cut-proof gloves. How about it?
I like it. What do you got going on here, Ricky?
We got a brand new set of cut level 5 cut-proof gloves with a grip. When you're filleting fish, filleting those cold slabs, and sometimes your hand goes numb, either from filleting 70 or 80 fish, or they're just cold. So as you're filleting that fish and you come down, these gloves are going to protect you from accidental cuts. And plus you'll be able to grip that fish and hold on to each one of those, secure the fish and the slab straight to the frying pan.
All right, so right underneath those gloves there, I see this Mr. Crappie Chiller. What's this all about?
So it's a 30-inch insulated fish bag, doubles as a live bait. So if you need live bait for a day, you can take your live bait out. When you run out of bait, you can fill it up with fish. Once again, you have a drain plug. You can really meter this drain plug so it'll just drip or it will empty out. The drain plug is also secured, so you can't lose your drain plug.
Ricky, thanks for showing us the stuff. Where can people find out more information about this?
They can go to smithsproducts.com to find out about this product and many others that we launched here at ICAST.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, Danny, last time I saw you, you were holding a lake trout about this big.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. I'm kind of missing that Canadian weather down here in Florida and lake trout.
Way too hot.
Yes.
And you know what else is hotter? The new products from Garett. Thank you very much. You like that?
Yeah.
What is this?
So this is the new Livescope ice bundle with the Plus transducer. So we've got the new transducer, because it's a lot better stitch points, kind of eliminates that ghost tree, gives us a lot better clarity. So we're actually able to see the fish, identify the species, and what I like is just the distance, being able to find those fish a lot farther away than we were able to before. So
sure. All right, and when is this available?
So this is available now. So this is going to be for this year's ice fishing lineup. We've got it announced now. We've actually got some in stock, and you'll be seeing these show up, in a lot of the retailers probably more towards October. But
did I say one show up at my house? Did you say one? Did they start showing up at my house? No.
Yeah.
Very cool. Congratulations Congratulations on the win, of course. And then tell everybody, if they didn't see what we used up at Tasman, what you were using up there.
So, the other thing that we announced for ICAST this year is our new XR transducer, and that's what I had up at Tasman, which was fun to see because we were able to use it right before the announcement, which made it really exciting. But the XR is for deep water. So when we're up there lake trout fishing and we're in water as deep as 200 feet, 300 feet, I mean, that thing will go to 500 feet. But
that's crazy.
We're able to see lake trout down there, and we've got that one screen video of that lake trout coming in as he's hooked up, and you can actually see him releasing the air and seeing the air bubbles come out. So really cool stuff that we're able to do with that new XR transducer.
Yeah, that was way cool. Other new products that you guys are debuting here?
Yeah, so the other thing we have is Garmin does a lot with the watches now, and so we've got a new Quadix watch. We actually won best of category for the novelties and wellness for that one, and we've got touchscreen on that watch. It's got a new display, so it's a little bit easier to read and better on battery life. I think I've got like 15 days on my watch before I had to charge it already. So a lot of cool products. That's the cool thing about Garmin is we're all over the place coming up with cool, innovative stuff.
Sure, and you're all over the place, but if you get lost, you can find your way back.
Yeah, that was a good one.
All right, where do people find you online?
Yeah, so check us out at Garmin.com, and you can follow my stuff up to Tasman Lake and see some of that at Danny Thompson on Instagram.
Excellent, Danny.
Thank you very much.
ICAST 2022. I mentioned how much I appreciate y'all being here. 2022 Rod and Reel Combo. Shimano Spheris Saltwater Combo. And the winner of the ice fishing category is Garmin USA, Garmin Livescope Plus Ice Fishing Bundle. The ICAST 2022 Best of Category for soft and hard coolers goes to Packback P88 MK Combo. If you guys haven't been down to New Product Showcase, there is a lot of really cool stuff down there, and the hard lures, it's got to be a tough vote for all of you. So the winner of the ICAST 2022 Saltwater Hard Lure is Live Target with the live shrimp.
So we just got out of the little prize ceremony, prize award ceremony. Yeah, thank you. Here at ICAST, and Live Target won for the live shrimp. Congratulations, Live Target. That's awesome. And I just got a phone call, Dan, while we were wrapping up in there. We're going fishing at Disney World.
So what do we do after we win?
We're going to Disney World.
Sporting Journal Radio is a division of Macaba LLC. If you've got a question, comment, or story idea for us, send us an email. Go to sportingjournalradio.com. While you're there, you can learn how to advertise on the show and visit our store for hats, hoodies, coffee mugs, and more. Go to sportingjournalradio.com.